Hello, everyone. Right, listen, guys. I just need to close something down. Is that? Oh, hang on. I need to. I don't even know how to do it. Right? Is it that? Hang on. Wait. Just wait for me, guys. Wait. How do I close it? I think I need to reset my computer. Right. Okay. Right. Listen. I had some internet problems this morning, but I think I'm on. Yes, I'm on. Right. Good morning, everybody. Sorry about the swizzle start. Okay. So the news of the day: America has been abandoned. That's what it looks like, guys. America has been abandoned. The crisis in the Middle East is just getting worse and worse and worse and worse. It doesn't look like there's an off ramp. There is not an off ramp. And yeah, it doesn't. It just does not look like there's an off ramp. Right, let me just start with my opening monologue. Hang on. Right. Honestly, I've got so much going through my head at the moment, guys. Sorry if you caught me off guard. So I've literally just had some really bad news. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I'm not going to lie. I literally just had some really bad news. Some really difficult news like 10 seconds ago. But I didn't want to let you guys down. So I have jumped on. So I'm just trying to deal with this. It's kind of personal. So I do apologize I'll be honest with you, I've literally just had some really bad news and I feel like absolute shit now. I feel like absolute shit because I've got work, I've got stuff to do, personal stuff. But I'm going to continue with this live stream because I come on every morning at 10 and I'm not going to let you guys down. Okay. So let me start with my opening monologue. Okay. So what's happening right now in the Middle East is, let me share this. People are starting to realize that the conflict in the Middle East is not going to be over as quickly as, as quickly as people said it would, as quickly as people thought it would be. From this headline here, look, Middle East crisis. Trump threatens very bad future for NATO if allies fail to help secure the Strait of Hormuz. Now, this comes straight off the back of literally all the countries that Donald Trump asked to help in the Strait of Hormuz. They've all just basically turned around and said, no, we're good. Now, a couple of things from this. All right. First of all, if you guys have been watching this channel, you guys know already that this is literally the end to NATO. And I've said so many times, NATO is already not worth the paper it's written on. And what you're seeing now is this setting the stage, basically. Setting the stage. So let's put this into context, what's happened now, and then we'll talk about what's coming in the future. So right now, Donald Trump saying there's going to be a very bad future for NATO if nobody helps, right? So NATO allies, people who should be helping, they're like, no, we're not sending any ships to the Strait of Hormuz. So then guess what? Yeah, you guys know exactly what's coming, right? When the Russians make a big push in Ukraine, the Americans are going to say, well, hang on a minute, right? I was screaming out for help in the Strait of Hormuz, and you guys didn't want to know. The European theater, the Russians, that's your problem. Do you guys see how that works now? So that is what's coming. That is absolutely what's coming. Right, let me jump on and get some comments on the chat, guys. Good morning, everyone. Googleinos is saying Sky News live in 30 minutes for Keir Starmer's speech. Right. Somebody remind me that Keir Starmer's on doing a speech in 30 minutes, guys. Right, so let me give you guys these headlines and, where things are going, because Donald Trump and the headlines are screaming out literally this morning, guys, from every outlet. President Donald Trump has just given an explosive interview to the Financial Times warning warning that NATO faces a very bad future if its allies, that's us in Britain, France, Germany, do not step up and help the Americans secure and reopen the Strait of Hormuz. It's not as simple as that. It's not as simple as that. It's to open this Strait of Hormuz, guys. You need to take Iran. You literally need to control Iran. And even if you've taken Iran, you're going to run into asymmetric naval warfare. It's not the only way that the Strait of Hormuz opens is if the Iranian government say it is, right? That's the only way. That is literally the only way that the Strait of Hormuz opens. There's no other way that it gets opened. So that's what, it's not going to open. And now if you're sat here in the United Kingdom across the West and you're looking at things and you're thinking, oh, what actually surprised me? What surprised me this morning quite a lot was all these people in the meet, like all these commentators, they're so shocked at what's happening. Oh, I can't believe this is happening. Oh, I can't believe this is happening. But the reality is this was always going to happen, right? Now, also, well, let me just, before I go on to this, let me just throw this out there, because can you guys remember a couple of days ago, was it maybe 2 weeks ago or something, Donald Trump made a post and he said, I heard you, something like look, and I'll be quite open, and, I think Keir Starmer should be criticized at every opportunity. But can you remember when Donald Trump said, don't worry, Britain, we don't need your ships. Or don't worry, Keir Starmer, we don't need your ships. We'll remember those who started the war once it had already been won. Turns out they're screaming out for those ships now. Now, this is Trump turning the screws in the middle of a war that's already dragging on now into the third week. Now, I genuinely thought that these airstrikes would have calmed down by now. That these airstrikes are not calming down. They are ramping up, if anything, if you can even imagine such a thing. The United States and, this war that kicked off late February, big preemptive strikes, Operation Epic Fury. It's sending the oil price absolutely, it's sending the oil price like astronomical. It really is. It's going absolutely astronomical, the oil price. Now, the visual marker to this is that Strait of Hormuz, right? If that little place isn't closed, then the price of oil will continue to rise. So don't listen to what anybody's saying. Don't listen to the headlines. It's very easy to see. All right. Nothing else matters. Are ships flowing freely through the Strait of Hormuz? Yes or no? If they're flowing freely, then the price of oil will flatline for a little bit. Then it might come down a tiny little bit. So we are in this now, guys. We are absolutely in this. Trump's been banging on for this about days, bombing the shoreline if needed, shoot boats out of the water. They've destroyed 100% of their military, though Iran says it's lies and keeps causing trouble with cheap drones and mines. But the US Navy can't or won't escort every tanker alone forever. It's just not feasible. It's absolutely not feasible, guys, for the US Navy to escort those tankers. That will put the price up like ridiculous. It would be cheaper to invade Iran. It would be cheaper to invade Iran, guys. It would and take Iran than then transit those ships through. Now you've got to understand the way the Navy works, right? You've got each captain is in charge. Like each captain's their ship and the people on that ship are their responsibility, right? So if Donald Trump says escort those guys through, the captain can say, well, I'm not escorting them through because those missile silos are still there within range, and that's going to put my ship in danger and my crew. Because ultimately, the captain of the ship is in charge of the ship, right? Makes sense. So that's why I think you're seeing a lot of the US Navy in hold-off positions. And it just absolutely does not seem like this is going to happen at all, guys. It does not seem like it's going to happen. Public support for this war in the United States is starting to wobble. He's called in the cavalry. You know, he's called in China. They're the biggest buyer of Gulf oil. You know, to help secure your own supply. Japan, South Korea, France, and yes, the United Kingdom. And everybody has said, nope, we're good. We're good. We're not coming. We're not coming to help. This is ultimately going to lead to the official end of NATO, which is going to lead to World War III, which is going to lead to a bipolar world. I don't mean a bipolar world where we're angry and sad at the same time. I mean a bipolar world where we have Oceania and Eurasia. That's where we're heading. Now, Donald Trump is framing this as simple fairness. We've been very sweet, he says. We helped Europe with Ukraine, thousands of miles away, not in our backyard, but we did it. Now, when it's the choke point that keeps the world's energy flowing and benefits everyone, especially heavy importers, it's only right that you guys chip in. Minesweepers, Europe has more than the United States. Warships to patrol, whatever it takes. No help? Then NATO's future looks grim. Less United States commitment, maybe less protection down the line. It's classic Trump maximum pressure. Does anyone see this, guys? Or is it just me? Does anyone see this now? How we're going to have that situation where when the Russians do make another push in Ukraine, and they say, the United States say, hey, listen, guys, you know what? We were asking for you guys to help in the Strait of Hormuz. That's your problem now. You know, that's literally your problem now. Is anyone else seeing that, or is it just me? Now, here in the United Kingdom, the response so far by Keir Starmer has been cautious. The government has been on defensive missions, intercepting drones over the region, over key ally bases. Some naval presence, letting the United States use facilities for defensive operations, although in a war, ladies and gentlemen, there's no such thing. There's no such thing as defensive operations. No one is rushing to send ships to the Strait of Hormuz. Now, this is for a couple of reasons. First of all, we don't have the ships to really make a difference. The public mood is mixed at best. Energy costs they're not biting, they are savaging. You know, energy costs are absolutely savaging. The war is unpopular. We have a huge Muslim community in the United Kingdom. The memories of Iraq and Afghanistan are still fresh in people's minds. European leaders are saying that it's in our interest to keep the Strait of Hormuz open, and they're discussing options, but no firm commitments yet. No enthusiasm for a naval conflict in the Gulf of Oman or the Persian Gulf. This is all going to change really quick, guys. It is. This is all going to change so quick. Real soon, really soon we won't even know what's happening in the Middle East. Why? Because the media attention very soon, maybe this month, maybe next month, I don't know. It has to happen soon. Is going to switch to Ukraine. It's going to switch to Ukraine. It's all set now. All the when you're playing chess. I don't know if you guys play chess. When you're playing chess, you get to a point, right, where all the pieces are set, and that piece is covering that piece, and if that piece moves, you can take that piece, but he can't move and it just becomes too complicated. And you're looking at it and you're saying right, at some point, this is all going to go. And at some point, it normally does. There's always a point in a chess game where everything's slowly, and then all of a sudden it just kicks off. And that's what I feel is going to happen. I feel very soon we're going to have that big event in Ukraine. And then it'll probably happen on a Friday, maybe this Friday. I don't know. I'm certainly not saying it's happening this Friday, but I feel it will happen on a Friday. It might happen. Do you know what? Let me have a look when politicians go. When do UK Parliament Easter break? Right. So it might happen on the 8th of April. Could happen. So the Parliament break. Oh, no, sorry. What? Right. For the 2026. Oh, that was 25. Sorry. For 2026, the House of Commons scheduled to rise for Easter recess at the end of business, Friday, the 27th of March. So that's when it could happen, guys. It could happen Friday, the 27th of March. That's when it could happen. You know what? I don't know whether I should say this or not. Should I put myself out there? Okay, so I'm not making my mind up now. It has to happen soon. And the nearest date for me that this could happen would be Friday, the 27th of March. That's when I feel the nearest date it could be. Why? It's a Friday, right? It's a Friday. You can make a shit ton of money on the stock market. Easier to do things on a Friday. All the politicians are out. They're all on leave, or it might be the weekend. It might be the weekend after, actually, because like it'd be easier to call them back on that day. It's a lot easier to do things when all the politicians are away, because nobody's going to come in and give scrutiny and I'm going to pass this motion. It's just a lot easier to do things when no one's at work, right? Like when you was in the army, you know, strange things used to happen to camp when everyone was on summer leave. You used to come back and say, "Oh, what's that over there?" Don't know. You're not allowed to talk about it. Just don't go over there. It's just a new area. You're not allowed to go over there. Oh, right, okay, whatever. So I do think this is going to happen quickly. It'll happen on a Friday, and then nobody will be talking. Nobody, guys, will be talking about what's happening in the Middle East anymore, because everybody will be talking. Everybody in the United Kingdom will be talking about what's happening in Ukraine. There'll be guns, bombs, tanks, trains, planes, automobiles, logistics, all sorts of stuff. And the Americans and the Israelis will be left to fight in the Middle East. Now, so why the big threat now? Why is Donald Trump threatening this now? Well, because the war isn't the quick win they were sold. Iran has absolutely dug in with low-tech defiance. The Strait of Hormuz is shut, except from the ships that the Iranians let through. The price of oil keeps rising, and the longer that this drags out, the higher that price is going to go. The higher that price is going to go, the more strain on internal economics, the more people will go unemployed. And I know this sounds wild. 20% of the world's oil is huge. It's 20%. And it will get worse for everyone. It will. The longer this drags out, it's going to get worse for everyone. And you guys have seen already on the petrol station, the price of diesel exponentially rising. I think we're going to have that situation where diesel's going to be taken off diesel's going to be taken off the pumps. Now, Donald Trump is trying to spread the load. He's trying to shame allies into action. But for Keir Starmer, you see, Donald Trump's trying to shame Keir Starmer into action. But I don't think Donald Trump realizes Keir Starmer's got no shame, right? He's got no shame. He's got no honor. Allegedly, reportedly, right? Now, for us watching this unfold here in the United Kingdom, it's an absolute wake-up call for everyone. It really should be, And I mean, like, on an individual level now. I don't mean, like, Ed Miliband with his solar panels. Like, that's ridiculous. I mean everybody on an individual level. My advice to everyone is exactly what it has been since the 28th, since I woke up to you guys and we started talking about this on the 28th of February. My advice to everyone right now is go and fill your tank up and keep it topped up, because those prices are not coming down. They are absolutely not coming down. The only chance that they might come down, and this is not going to happen, right? But you'll be able to see this, is what I'm saying, okay? The only chance that those prices may come down, and like I said, they won't, is if they manage to open the Strait of Hormuz, which they're not going to. And even when they open the Strait of Hormuz, they're still going to rise for a little bit. Then they'll plateau out. Then they might come down a few pence, but then that's where they'll stay. Right, before I jump onto the chat, guys, I just want to throw this out there, because like quite a few people have been sending me messages about Benjamin Netanyahu, and they've been saying, Sean, what's going on? What's going on with this coffee cup? Is this video AI? How did he put his hand in his pocket? First of all, right, we are there now, aren't we? We are at that place where we don't know what's real anymore, right? So first of all, I'm going to say, I'm not going to give this any more thoughts. If he's confirmed to be, sent to the candy shop, fine, I'll go with that. More videos come out. I hope he is alive. I do. I don't want anyone to have an untimely exit from this world. I genuinely. There have been a few discrepancies about that video. Again, people are saying that he's got the coffee cup and it should spill. Well, if it's like one of those, if it's got a head on it, with like foam, that foam has a more resistance to surface tension, right? So like my coffee cup, it would spill if it was coffee, but it wasn't coffee. It was like foam, right? It was foam. So maybe that was it. People are saying, Sean, the people in the background are wearing COVID masks. This was an old video from, I don't know, whatever. I'm like, no, they're like his bodyguards and they're just covering their faces, right? Because they're clearly Israeli special forces or like Mossad or whatever. And they don't want their faces seen. So you would wear a mask, right? And then there's this other one and people are saying, he's put his hand in his pocket and it like, I don't even know what I'm looking at there. Like he unzipped his, I don't even know what that means, guys. People are slowing the video right down and I'm just thinking, yeah, he's just putting his hand in his pocket. There's nothing there. There's absolutely nothing there. So I don't know. I genuinely don't know. Now that should be the real story there that people don't know, right? That should be the real story because we are absolutely in the age right now that we don't know what we're seeing. We don't know what's real on the TV anymore. We don't know what's fake news, what's AI, what's not AI. When I first started talking about this and like people were saying, oh, but look, it's got the Gemini sticker at the bottom. And I was thinking like, really? Are we going down this road? Are we saying now that like, and this is in regard to the Epstein pictures, right? I was like, right, are we really going down this road right now? Are we saying that people that have the ability to fake a high profile death, smuggle that body from smuggle that live person actually from the United States to Israel? Are we really saying that they don't have the ability to put like a little Gemini sticker in the bottom of a picture? So yeah, we are absolutely in a post-truth society. We're in an absolute post-truth society. Right. Also, Dubai Airport, all flights suspended at Dubai Airport. So Dubai Airport is closed as huge fire erupts after an Iranian drone attack. Now, I'm pretty sure that the Iranians said the other day they were not firing any more drones, but whatever. So all flights to and from Dubai International Airport have been suspended after an Iranian drone sparked a huge fire. The world's busiest airport was shuttered just before 5:30 a.m. I meant maybe that should be closed. I don't know. But they're saying shuttered. This is in GB News. Just after 5:30 a.m. local time, as flames and smoke soared through the sky. A statement confirmed it was closed as a precautionary measure to ensure the safety of all passengers and staff. Now, Baghdad Airport, when I used to fly in and out of Baghdad Airport, that thing used to get hit all the time. Like Baghdad Airport used to get hit all the time. They just used to go out, sweep it off the runway, and then the planes used to take off. Although you didn't get British Airways didn't fly from Baghdad. Right, let me jump onto the chat. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Right, I'm literally jumping to the bottom, guys. Jumping to the bottom. James is saying, Strait of Hormuz runs along Iran. Surely the military planners could foresee this. Yes, exactly. James is saying, all Iran needs is one guy controlling a drone to hit any ship from the shore. Exactly. So to take Iran, so for the fuel prices to stop rising, so for the fuel prices in the United Kingdom to stop rising, the Strait of Hormuz needs to be open, right? And like what James is saying there, it's just not going to happen. Not going to happen, guys. Not going to happen. Bandagain is saying, my niece was supposed to leave Dubai today. I think they'll open the airport up pretty soon, you know. Remember, you know, look, to take off and land, to get flights out of Dubai, you don't need the terminals, guys. You don't need the terminals. You don't need the check-in. You don't need the check-out. You don't need the customs. What you need is that tarmac. What is it, like 5 kilometers or something? Dubai International Airport, really big runway. There's several runways, actually. You need the tarmac, right? That's all you need, the tarmac. And as long as the tarmac's okay, or the concrete, whatever it is, probably not tarmac, actually. In fact, it's definitely not tarmac. As long as the runway is okay, you will get flights in and out of Dubai. The problem becomes administrational, you know, passing people through customs and stuff. But ultimately, you know, you can do this on the runway, right? You can have a desk and do this on the runway. I've landed on some airports and they're just like little dirt strips. Four Paws are saying, please give Sean the thumbs up. Yeah, guys, can you all hit those buttons down below if you've not done so already? Like, comment, subscribe, bell notification. Lil Miss is saying, prepare to be bored for a while Starmer is on. Right, what I will do with Starmer's speech, I will have it. I will have Starmer's speech on. I won't be sharing it with you, but if anything interesting comes off Starmer's speech, I will share it. Cherry is saying, my favorite tea bags are out of stock. They swapped out the beans at Starbucks. Oh, God. Right, who buys coffee from Starbucks? Really? Who buys coffee from Starbucks? It's far too expensive. Right, let me try and find Starmer's speech. Give me a second, guys. Give me a second. Right, where am I looking? Right, hang on. Sorry, I'm just trying to find somewhere that. Hang on, this. Right, okay. So I've got the news on now. As soon as Keir Starmer, is that him? Hang on, I think he's coming on. As soon as Keir Starmer jumps on, I will. I'll share him. No, he's not on. Old School Pete with a fantastic thumbnail is saying, wonder if Starmer will pull one of his look at me polarizing perceived white weakness acts. Maybe he'll bring props. He could be the punch bag, cold be a new one. I don't know what that means, guys. I have no idea what that means. China should as well. Iran already said they have no beef with China, who is probably helping them with satellite intel. Yeah, I heard that the new, the new supreme leader, the one that's supposed to have been attacked. I've heard that he went to Russia for a. Oh, hang on a minute. Okay, so yes, so from police enforce closures of right. Let me share this actually. So yeah, 2 schools in Cardiff today have gone into lockdown. I think today. Police enforce closure of 2 Cardiff schools. Right, let's see what this is all about. 2 schools in Cardiff will remain closed on Monday after a report was made to the police. South Wales Police has implemented the measures at Lanishon. Jesus Christ, I used to live near there. Yeah, I used to live near Lanishon. I used to drive through it every day, actually. South Wales Police has implemented measures at Lanishon High School and Eastern High School as a safety precaution. The police said it has not taken the decision lightly and added it did so in conjunction with the city's council to ensure the safety of pupils. This is bigger. This is a bigger story, guys, than this is one of those stories that is going to be brushed under the carpet. This is a lot bigger story than we're being told. The nature of the report, which has not been disclosed, remains under investigation, according to the police. Never miss a Cardiff stop, Rocket. A statement from the South Wales Police read, 2 Cardiff schools will remain closed today following a report made to South Wales Police on Sunday evening. I have done quite a lot of work with the firearms guys in South Wales Police. I mean, this was like maybe over 10 years ago. Lanishon High School and Eastern High School will remain closed as a safety precaution. Superintendent Mark Kavanagh added, we have come to the decision with the support from Cardiff City Council to keep these schools closed on Monday in order to avoid risk, following a report which was made to the police on Sunday evening. The report is currently under investigation. Okay, so right. So a couple of things from this. So listen, guys, this is a huge story, right? 2 schools being closed in Cardiff. I'm going to speculate now. So this is wild speculation, right? This is just me speculating. So I would speculate that these schools have been closed because there's been some sort of threat, right? That seems obvious. Now, if we can close schools down from just phoning up and saying, yep, there's a threat, we're going to do this, and the school gets closed, then what happens? People will keep doing that, right? Now, the flip side of that same coin, this is how asymmetric warfare works. This is how terrorism works, right? You keep, first of all, with terrorism, you want the maximum effect for your event, right? You don't want to do things quietly when you're a terrorist. You want to make things big. You want people to know that you're doing them because you want people to understand what you're doing. So one of the things you will do, when we've seen this, like in every conflict zone, you phone the school up. So you say, yep, we've got a threat to these 2 schools. So the police run in, they close it down, everything's done, everyone's safe, nothing happens, right? Okay. I mean, can you imagine those kids going back to that school? So you keep closing, you keep phoning up and closing the schools down until you get to a point when the police are like, you know what, nothing ever happens. These threats are just hoaxes. And we're not going to keep closing schools. Then guess what happens? Yeah, you guys guessed it. Then that's when the real attack goes in. And then that information then gets leaked that, that these bad guys warned, the information was out there. They warned that this was going to happen. And then you get like, you get more bang for your buck because you're doing the attack and you're also degrading and causing divisions within that country, because then the people are rightly so saying, hang on a minute, you guys have this threat issued towards the school, but you chose not to take any action. And then it causes like bigger political problems. Right, Band again is saying Starmer's on. Right, let me oh, I can't. Right, he's not on there. Hang on. Do you want to watch him? Do we want to watch him, guys? Right, let's put him on.
Night and day. And I pay tribute to all of them. We're also continuing our diplomatic response. The Foreign Secretary has been in the region in recent days. I'm in close contact with leaders from across the Gulf and Europe and beyond. I met Prime Minister Carney earlier this morning, and I'll be meeting President Zelensky soon, because it's vital that we continue to focus on supporting Ukraine. We cannot allow the war in the Gulf to turn into a windfall for Putin. Now, it's clear the US operation has massively weakened the military capability of the abhorrent regime in Iran.
Right, I'm gonna turn that off there, guys. Look, literally, if you want to know what they're gonna say, I tell you this beforehand, right? I tell you this a long time before they're going to say this, right? Britain, in Keir Starmer just said it then, right? Britain's main event is always going to be the war in Ukraine, right? I told you guys this long ago, okay? It's going to happen on a Friday, potentially the 27th of this month. And they're gearing you up for this, right? Is anyone under any illusion now that, like, this is not happening? Danny is saying, what an absolute sausage. And Googling us is saying he's no charisma on that platform. He doesn't, does he? He's got no charisma. Can you imagine? Look, this is the way it's going. This is literally the way it's going right now. We are going to have that scenario where, honestly, like, it's going to happen very soon, where Keir Starmer is going to be giving speeches in like a military jacket. And I honestly, like, when we see that, it's going to be so funny. It's going to be so funny watching Keir Starmer and David Lammy. Keir Starmer, David Lammy, Jess Phillips, Shabina Mahmood, and who else do we put in there? Yvette Cooper, right? Can you imagine the war cabinet in their little, their camouflage jackets? Can you guys imagine them in their camouflage jackets? Right, let me see what he's saying. Give me a second. Okay, so Keir Starmer on Iran. The UK will not be drawn into a wider conflict. They're just letting everyone know, guys. They're letting everyone know that we are going into Ukraine. That's what I'm getting from this speech. That is absolutely what I'm getting right now. And let me share this. I'm not going to let you listen to him. You don't have to listen to him. Just let me show you this on the bottom of the screen. Can you guys see that at the bottom? Oh, let me take Google and this thing off. Keir Starmer on Iran. UK will not be drawn into a wider conflict. Do you know why the UK is not going to be drawn into a wider conflict? Because the United Kingdom is committed to Ukraine. That's the reality, and that was always going to be the direction of travel. Ghoul one gobble something is saying in the US, a lot of news sources say that Brits are very welcoming of immigrants. But in Discord servers and YouTube chat and Reddit, I hear otherwise. How the politicians are Muslim washing the UK. Well, if you live in the United Kingdom, like I do, and lots of people in the chat do, and you just walk to the supermarket. Like I've stopped going to the supermarket now, guys. I'm trying to go to the supermarket once a month. And you know, doing like a really big shop and then that's it. If you go and walk around the supermarket, there's an underlying tone of dread. There's an absolute underlying tone of dread if you walk around the supermarket or anywhere with groups of people. And there is definitely an us and them. There's no if you go to a firework display, right? If you go to like a firework display in a city centre, there'll be a big crowd of one demographic, there'll be a big crowd of another demographic, and there'll be like, there's no integration. Like there is zero integration in the United Kingdom right now. And that's that's like, for me, that's the problem, right? That's the problem. Nobody cares. Well, I don't care. Nobody cares about, like, you know, people's background. I don't. The problem is, right, if we had a situation in the United Kingdom right now where we were having migrants coming to the United Kingdom and everything was better, everything was amazing. You know, the migrants were coming and you were seeing them working, and they were leaders in community. Well, I guess they are leaders in communities, right? You know, you saw these people working, you saw them pushing, driving, succeeding, innovating, helping. But that's not what we're seeing. We see massive crime waves. We're seeing massive crime waves. We're seeing tax money going and being spent on them, and you know, that's what it feels like. Well, that's what it is. Ceruz is saying the kids are, I think that means are not safe from the teachers or indoctrination, let alone terrorists. Yeah, we have to re-educate the kids when they come back from school. Right, guys, listen, there's so many comments on the chat. I'm just going to jump to the bottom. Well, not to the bottom, almost to the bottom. Debbie Doobs is saying, I don't want any wars, but when we end up at war with Russia, Trump is going to give us the finger for Yeah, he absolutely is. I don't know if you're joining for the first time, Debbie Doobs. Debbie Doobs, have you just joined? Yes, exactly. This is what we were saying earlier. With Debbie Doob's comment, let me jump back, guys, okay? Because we are looking like an absolute end to NATO right now. Let me scroll up and give you this headline. So the headline that's out today is, the main headline that everybody needs to understand is, Middle East crisis, Trump threatens very bad future for NATO if allies fail to help secure the Strait of Hormuz. So that's what Donald Trump said. Now, this is an inevitability, all right? So we should all stop expecting a different outcome, because there is no different outcome. The outcome is set in stone, guys, and that's where we're going right now. We are heading towards that situation where, you know, the United States leave NATO to deal with the Russians on their own in Ukraine, like I've been saying for such a long time. And we need to understand it as well. You know, there really isn't anything that, like, what's Britain going to do to help open the strait? Like, what are we going to do realistically with our 3 ships? There's nothing we can do. We can't do anything. So right now, as Debbie Doobs is saying, you know, the headlines are absolutely screaming out from every news outlet. President Trump has just given the explosive interview that I just shared with you guys there. I think it was to the Financial Times, warning that NATO faces a very bad future if allies like us, Britain, France, Germany, don't step up and help the Americans secure and reopen the Strait of Hormuz. It's not going to open, guys. I'll just let you know now. I'll let you know now so you stop. I'll let everyone know now so everybody stops, like, hoping. Because that's one of the things, right? We keep getting gaslit. Oh, it's only going to be a little time. Don't worry, don't worry. Guys, this is I wouldn't even consider thinking about this conflict being over until 3 years. And even after 3 years, we're going to have to see what the ground looks like, okay? This is a long burner. This is not going away anytime quick. Too much has happened. So the Strait of Hormuz is not going to open, right? Doesn't matter who says. The only people who can agree to the Strait of Hormuz being opened is the Iranians. They're not going to do that. They are absolute. Why would you? Why would you do that? You've just had like a shit ton of airstrikes destroy your military, you know, destroy your whole navy, and you're going to let the world have their oil? Not a chance. I wouldn't do that. I'd say not a chance. I'd say not a diddly dance. So the Strait of Hormuz is not going to open. Therefore, the price of fuel will keep rising. That's the reality, guys, right? And my advice to you is what my advice has always been: keep your tanks topped up, because you may have to use your car to bug out. Because let's not forget, right? The civil conflicts in the United Kingdom, they've not gone away. Civil unrest, mass migration, the war in Ukraine, that's not gone anywhere. It's just we're going to be facing those now with less money, because the price of everything's going up, with less money and less fuel. So it's actually getting worse. Now, Donald Trump wasn't mincing his words. He said, if there is no help or if the response is negative, it'll be very bad for the future of NATO. He's even talking about remembering who pitches in and who doesn't. And he's in talks with about 7 countries to police the strait. Minesweepers knocking out threats along the Iranian shores, the full works. These are the headlines that you guys are getting, right? There's a big difference between a headline and that actually happening, okay? Imagine, forget about the escort ships, right? First of all, nobody's going to be escorting oil through, right? It's not going to happen. Mine clearance ships, right? I would assume, right? There's a captain. I don't know, maybe like a wheel or whatever. That captain is responsible for that ship. And if somebody tells him, right, go down there and sail through that area. Yeah, they're firing drones, missiles, all sorts of crazy shit. Yeah, just go through and clear the mines. What? Are you deluded? He's not going to go. He will not go. Maybe they need to put some of those humanoid robots in there. So this is absolutely Donald Trump turning the screws in the Middle East, in the middle of a war that's already dragging on into the 3rd week. Now, we all got told, didn't we? We all got told that this was going to be a quick bombing campaign. Quick bombing campaign to take out the missiles, the Navy, and whatever, the nuclear facilities. Turns out, continuing a little bit further, right? Now, they are absolutely destroying a lot of equipment in Iran. But the problem here, like I've said all along, they're going to hide it in mountains. And if you think about a mountain, right? A mountain's big. A mountain is big. So if you dig into the base of a mountain, so you know when you're digging a bunker, right? Imagine a bunker that's dug down into flat ground, right? Imagine a flat piece of grass. What's that guy's name? Is it Eric Fuse? Eric Furs? He built the bunker. Is it Eric or might be Colin? I don't know. The guy who built the bunker in his garden, right? He excavated his old garden. I love his videos. And he dug the bunker in his garden, and so like visualize that, right? Very easy to drop a bomb on that. Very easy. Flat ground, kaboom, right? Okay. Now, imagine giving that same guy, Colin, is it Colin Furs or Fuse? Whatever, with the white shirt, like short sleeves. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? Imagine giving him an unlimited budget and saying, right, Colin, instead of building a bunker in your garden, I want you to drill into this mountain, then go down. So now imagine trying to take that bunker out with a missile. You've got to destroy the mountain first, right? That's not happening. I'm a big supporter, and I think the US Air Force is phenomenal and it's unrivaled. Very difficult to take down mountains. It is very difficult to take down mountains. So Donald Trump is, they're understanding now that what I'm getting at there is a lot of this kit and equipment will have been hidden in mountains, right? It will be a lot of these missile silos. They will just be hidden in mountains. And how do you deal with that? Multiple launch sites, multiple launch pads within a mountain. I said long ago, look, you need to send in special forces guys here to take this out. Then there was, I think they're calling it Pickaxe Mountain. Well, it's called Pickaxe Mountain. There was I think it was Fox News. They were giving this revelation. Oh no! They've taken all. He actually said evil scientist, which I thought, like, what does that even mean, evil scientist? I'm sure he doesn't think he's evil. I'm sure he thinks everybody else is evil. He said the evil scientists have taken all the nuclear material and they're working on it in Pickaxe Mountain, and you need to send special forces into. But you see where this leads, right? You see where this leads. Oh, it's only limited boots on the ground to secure Pickaxe Mountain. Oh, it's gone wrong. Right, we need to send a rescue operation. Yeah, we need 3 years, guys. Listen, this conflict is going nowhere for 3 years. Oil prices are going to go higher and higher and higher and higher. I think oil price at the pump, certainly for diesel, if diesel doesn't get taken off the pump, I'm saying it's going to level out about £2.50 a litre. Yep, I said that. That's where I think it's going to level out, about £2.50 a litre. For diesel. Petrol, I think, will be slightly lower, but it's going to keep going up and up and up and up. So when I say to you guys, when I said to everyone on the 28th, go and fill your tanks up now. Right? And don't do what my dad did as well. I love my dad. I phoned him up. I said, Dad, have you filled your car up? He said, oh, I didn't bother. I said, well, you need to go. He says, oh, I'm not going now. It's gone up. I said, yeah, it's going to keep going up. He says, oh, I'm not filling up now. It's gone up. No, I'm not going to bother. So get your cars filled up now, guys. That's like my only advice, right? Get your cars filled up. If you need to buy anything, go and get it now and keep your cars topped up. Literally, as soon as that needle moves, you want to be topping it up, because it's going to be cheaper today than it is tomorrow. I'll drive past the petrol station in a bit, actually, and have a look how much it's, see if it's gone up from yesterday. From yesterday, it went up I think it went up I drove past in the morning and then I drove past in the evening and it had gone up another 2 pence. I know it doesn't sound much, but it's just that constant, price range. But yes, Debbie, you're absolutely right. Debbie is absolutely right. The United States have asked for help from NATO. NATO are not. So when the war in Ukraine kicks off, Donald Trump is going to say, nope, we're good. We are good. Robin and Joy is saying, America won't forget this. What you going to do when you need them maybe one day? No, and I think that day is coming very soon, guys. I do. I think that day is coming very soon. Right, I'm just jumping to the bottom, guys. Just jumping to the bottom. Debbie Doobs is saying diesel is £1.60. Well, that's gone up from... I'm pretty sure yesterday it was £1.57. I know it doesn't sound much, does it? It doesn't sound much. 3 pence, 2 pence, 1 pence, 5 pence. But when it's happening at an hourly rate, Kinder is saying cowardice is not a great skill to have. Ukraine don't have it. Israel don't. Right, I know Kinder's from America. And look, listen, I'll say this, right? This is all planned, right? This has all been planned for a long time. This diversions between Britain and America, where Britain leads against Russia in Ukraine, and where the United States and Israel go into the Middle East. That's the reality. That's the reality of what's coming. And it's the end to NATO as well. And NATO is not worth the paper it's written on anyway. But again, he's saying, get fit or go down. Yeah, I think like everybody should get fitter. Like, I don't know why people, like literally people need to, like your own personal fitness, right, is something that everybody should try and maintain and constantly improve. You don't want to be that person, right, who's having to run for a bus or the last piece of cheese, and you know your legs can't go and you're feeling that lactic acid and you're like, oh my God, what's happening here? I read a statistic that like 90% of people over the age of 35 will never sprint again. Danny Stonehouse is saying, I use 60 litres every few days. Yeah. Look, guys, it may go higher. It may go higher. I'm saying my prediction for the price of fuel, the price of diesel. I think diesel, look, guys, this is me speculating. This is my analysis. I think the price, and I've got nothing, I'm not gauging this anything other than what I feel, where it was, where it's going, and the amount of fuel scarcity that we're looking at. So, yeah, I feel that the price of diesel is going to go up to £2.50, and that's if it's still allowed on the shelves, right? Because the price of diesel is going up exponentially. It's going up exponentially in regards to the price of petrol, because all the military, all the haulage companies, everything runs on diesel. Sean, do you rob blood banks? No, I don't. I don't rob blood banks. I don't know what that means. Do I rob? I don't know what that means. Can you elaborate a little bit? Piper is saying, what decisions would you make if you was the Prime Minister in terms of Iran? There's none the Prime Minister can make, Piper. We are, here in the United Kingdom, we have buckled ourselves into this corner where we have got huge Muslim communities who will go absolutely crackers and bonkers if we go and help the United States. Equally, we don't have any, like, realistically, we don't have any, there's nothing that we can give the United States that they don't have more than us anyway. So, you know, it would be like, I don't know, it would be like pouring a 500 milliliter bottle of water in an Olympic swimming pool and saying, I'm helping. The main event, and it needs to happen quickly, guys. It needs to happen quickly. The main event is going to happen in Ukraine. I'm looking at the 27th of this month, Friday the 27th of this month, for a big push in Ukraine. I'm not confirming it, guys. I'm not saying that's when it's definitely going to happen. I've not thought about it enough. I've not given it enough. I need to find out what's happening on the ground at first in Ukraine. But can you imagine, right, when that does happen, For example, give me a second. Just give me a second, guys. I'll get this thing up right. Okay, so can you imagine, right? You've got Ukraine, you've got the you've got the war, you've got the front line. Hang on. Let me just zoom in here. Yeah. Can you guys remember? Can you guys remember when this town, Pokrovs? Can you guys remember when this town, Pokrovs, was when they were saying that, no, we're going to keep Pokrovs. We're going to keep it. It's not going to fall. We're sending Ukrainian airborne forces in to take back Pokrovs. Can you guys remember that? Yeah. And I literally got off the phone with one of my friends and he said, no, Sean, Pokrovs has fallen. They're just orderly evacuating right now. So anyway, let me take that off. So what I'm talking about here is, so you know how I give you guys the algorithm, hibernate, relocate, evacuate, right? To implement that algorithm, hibernate, relocate, evacuate, you need to have triggers, right? So for example, when you guys, on the 27th of February, I went to bed. When I went to bed on the 27th of February, on the live stream, I said, right, ladies and gentlemen, if those airstrikes go in tomorrow, and I'd been saying it for the weeks previously, I was saying, look, if those airstrikes happen on the 28th, have that as your first trigger, because that's going to more than certainly activate sleeper cells. It's going to send the price of fuel skyrocketing, and it's going to put the country on a massive alert, right? That's what's going to happen. So you have triggers, right? So I would say one of the triggers would be if the Russians manage to make it to the River Dnipro. That's like 100 kilometers now, 140 kilometers or whatever. Now, if that happens on a Friday, this will have already been written in some sort of military. I can guarantee there will be a military plan somewhere that is emergency planning. It will have been signed off by the Prime Minister. It will be signed off by Macron. It will be signed off by everybody will have signed off on it, saying, right, okay, in the emergency situation that the Russians managed to make it to the River Dnipro, I don't know, maybe something like anywhere south of the River Dnipro and north of Zaporizhia, then that will activate our, emergency plan, right? And that emergency plan will be something like Western forces coming in from Poland, from Romania, to to provide, and they will say, we're just going in there to provide, assistance, saving lives, evacuations. We're going in. We're not going in as war fighters. We're going in as peacekeepers. Doesn't matter. It will happen on a Friday. And the reason it will happen on a Friday is because it's a lot easier to get things done on a Friday. And I think there's a strong chance that this happens on the 27th, maybe, or maybe the weekend after that, when Parliament have gone home on leave. Right, I'm just jumping to the bottom, guys. JP is saying Russia is part of the Christendom family. The UK government are hypocrites. You mean traitors? I think you mean traitors and the enemy, not Russia. Not their people or Putin. It's time to unite the Christendom nations again. Yeah, I mean, if you live in Russia, you wouldn't want to live in Russia, right? Nobody wants to live in Russia. Nobody, like, no, unless you're really rich, like, nobody wants to live in Russia. And Old School Pete is saying AI is what someone wants to be. Always. Okay, that's fine. Forever Shay is saying all shareholders wars and cover-ups for smuggling. Maybe, yeah, a lot of money gets spent in wars. Right, listen, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to start to close this down. I am going to be back on later this afternoon. I've got loads of work to do, and I've got personal things to deal with as well. So thank you for your time. You guys have been fantastic. If you've not done so already and you're on here, guys, can you please hit those buttons below, the like, comment, subscribe, bell notification, because it helps me out so much when you guys do that. I will be back on later today, guys. I'm going to be putting a couple of, at least one members-only video on. Well, that bombshell, ladies and gentlemen, I'll bid you good morning. I'll see you later.